Won't you come and say if you know the way?
Good morning, Monday morning, and we're just about to start on our wash adventure. We've managed to struggle through all the locks, get through all the closures so far, and we're just about to go down to the beginning of the Northampton flight. So today the plan is to do the 17 locks. We've got to go to the marina at the bottom, get our licence for the Eastern Waterways, which is different from our CRT licence. We've got to get a map, and then we're going to do a shop and hopefully get onto the River Nene. If it's too bad a day, we'll go into the marina at the end of the day, but we should be able to go on. We've got a week to get to the wash. All of our spare time that we'd allowed has run out because of the various problems getting here. So we've got a week. It's about 30-35 cruising hours from the top of, from Northampton Marina, which is the end of today, down to the Dog and Doublet, which is where we meet our pilot. So if nothing else goes wrong, that should all be okay. It's a different system out here. They have guillotine locks. We don't know. We'll have to find out what there is when we get there. But a lot of it is river, so we can go a lot faster. So I have to go now, meet the lockies at the top of the flight because they've got to let some water down because the pounds are very short. So fingers crossed it all goes, or it all starts well. That's the train, the Avanti West Coast, that we used to get all last winter going back up to our boat in Lancaster, looking down on the canal as we pass and wishing we were out on it. It's nice to be on the other side. Well, we arrived at the locks early and there's 2 other boats beat us to it. It's just a bit annoying. Doesn't really matter though. There's nowhere for me to moor because this is a winding hole and that's scratchy bramble bushes. So I'm having to float. I'm getting instruction from Henry. I'm going to have to do something. Well, after an hour of running water down to the empty pounds, there's quite a group of people here and somebody who needed to turn in the winding hole, so we've all had to shifty around, but we're finally moving. So apparently it takes 4 to 5 hours to get down these locks, so it's, what is it now? 9:15. So yeah, we got here 90 minutes ago, so that's been quite a long wait. Shows the problem with the water levels, and I heard this morning that the Environment Agency have stopped farmers from taking water out of the River Ouse because the river levels are really low there too. Well, sometime later and we're still only out of the first lock. The problem was that single-handed went down first, which is not a great idea because they're always slower than everyone else. So luckily the boat behind, she's just coming into that lock, had a couple of spare people, so they've gone down to help him because this is taking an age. But hopefully things will speed up a bit now. 3 hours and 11 locks, 9 boats coming up, and I think 5 or 6 going down. The man driving that boat looks like he's got a tooth abscess. This, nice colours. Little history of Northampton. My tiller pin snapped coming out of the last lock. My lucky Irish shamrock. It's going to have to be braised on or something. So anyway, I've got to very twisty round tiller arm now. I'll have to manage. This is not so hot today. I hope you're not writing rude words. It's lovely. I have to say, considering this is going all the way around Northampton, there's a surprisingly small amount of rubbish in the canal, which is lovely. The only thing I've picked out today is a full bottle of what looks like fairy liquid or something. It doesn't look like eco-friendly liquid anyway, so that'll go in a bin. Apart from that, one other bottle, and that's all I've seen so far. I'm amazed. It's obviously well looked after, because I can't believe there wouldn't be rubbish in here. But it's alright so far. I mean, it's a bit of a struggle coming down, but it's nice. Oh, spoke too soon. Oh, and we're out of the last lock. You see that up there? That's rain, that is. I've not seen that for a long time. Oops, there's an idiot moored on the lock landing, so I'm going to have to try and pick Henry up here. Hello, it's next day now, and we had such an exhausting day yesterday. It was a record. We did 13 hours straight before we found a mooring. You can see how tired I am, but we got onto the River Nene, got our licence, and then thought, oh, we'll find a nice little mooring just outside Northampton, but it doesn't work like that, and we had to go on for ages until we found room to put our boat in. And we got a bankside mooring outside the marina here, which was very well received last night. We finally came in here about 8:30, I think. We were in bed fast asleep by 10. So feeling refreshed today, and it's very windy, so we're going to start going down the river, and I'll show you some of the guillotine locks on the way down. It's absolutely beautiful down here. It was surprising how lovely it was around Northampton. Hadn't expected that. Henry's just emptying out some water from the engine bay, and it's not water that's gone into the engine bay, it's what we collect in a little bucket under. Where does that water come from, Henry? H.
Gland at the back.
The gland at the back.
Stern gland.
Stern glands, anyway. When you have a long day's cruising, it tends to drip a bit more, so he's just emptying that out. And then we're going to get going. And yeah, enjoy the day today. So these guillotine gates, we've just been saying this morning how much easier we find them, and then we got here and it broke. It turns out that the paddles here that go down, they flick a switch as it goes down, and it didn't go down, but the Environment Agency just got us to switch it off and switch it on again, as it were, and it worked, so that's good. Whoa, there's swans as far as the eye can see. They're lining up 2 by 2. Turns out some of the guillotine locks are manual. Henry's been turning that wheel for about 2.5 days, and it's still got a way to go. We've moored up after another long day in Woodford. It was accidentally long because we couldn't get on any of the previous moorings, so we had to keep going till we got here. The water is so clear, look at that. You can see right through it, and there's tons of fish in there. It hasn't been quite the weather today, but tomorrow it's going to be warmer and I shall be in there for a swim. I don't care what nitrates are in there or anything else. I just fancy getting in. Swim with the fishes. So we're 2 days in and we're loving this river. I'll do a little bit more filming of the actual river later, but we're sort of rushing through it really because we've got to get down to meet our friend David on his boat, ready to go across the wash. So we're not stopping in many places, but we will definitely come back here because it's just gorgeous. It's been a bit hectic this morning because it's been really windy. Nearly lost the boat into some bushes. We're coming down with a chap called Ian, and you have to be careful when you come down. There's a lot of the river splits a lot, and there's an arrow usually telling you which way to go, but this time of year some of them are really overgrown, and this morning we would have gone straight down the river. It was directly ahead, straight down to a weir, but David turned off in front of us and we realised we had to go another way. So the thought of that terrifies me, but luckily it didn't happen. He said it would have been okay, we'd have just got to the weir and had to find a way to turn around and come back, but you just don't want that to happen. Anyway, we're going along nicely. We should be able to catch up with our friend David at Elton tomorrow, and we're aiming for Oundle today. Today is D-Day, David Day. It's Thursday. He's been on his boat further down waiting for us for a couple of weeks now, and it'll be nice to catch up with him. We've got to wait an hour or so for passage through this lock. It's assisted passage. There's something mechanically wrong with it, and they're only allowing people through for 2 hours every day, trying to keep the river flow going and trying to keep the lock going before they have to do a bigger repair on it, I guess. So we could have actually moored here last night. Quite a nice spot, but you're not supposed to moor on lock landings and we don't like to get into trouble. So we didn't, but there's a boat on the other side. Anyway, we are just going to go and have some breakfast and wait for the lockies to come and let us through. And then we're going to go to Elton today, and we can stop then for a day or so because we've got ourselves a bit whacked out coming down here. Well, the lockies have all turned up on time. There's 3 of them. And we're sort of sitting here waiting, hoping with bated breath that everything goes okay and they can get us through. It would be awful if we got this far and couldn't get through one of the final locks. We spent a lot of this year waiting on stuff like this. And after 10 minutes or so of banging, and I'm not sure what they're doing, they have to get into the control box probably to override the system, but it sounded quite confident about us going. A bit nerve-wracking, these things, because you never know. This should be, maybe I shouldn't jinx it, this should be the last obstacle before we get to Wisbech. A narrowboat and a cruiser coming up first. Cruisers aren't always that keen about going in with narrowboats because They're made from glass fibre and they're narrowboats, so they're usually around 18 tonne of steel, so they can get damaged, but save lock openings, so it's got to be done. Here come the first two out. Like all rivers, this river can be pernicious, although it's very well controlled most of the time. In the winter, a lot of these locks will overtop, and then they use the guillotines to control the flow. But I think previous to this drought, the last 2 winters, which have been very wet, they've had quite a lot of flooding problems. But it's very benign at the moment. And that's it, we're out. Woohoo! Look at this, a little house on the river. Must go up and down on dolphins in the winter. These are the first properties we've seen backing right up to the river. Very nice. Reminds me of the Thames a bit. You know, you sort of need a lot of money to live in a place like this, but they are gorgeous, and I could totally live on this river. It's widening out as we get down. I suppose most rivers do that. I think there's another lock to do yet. Damn it, we thought that was the last one. Yep, there's definitely another lock. Where is he hiding?
We haven't missed him.
No. Found him! This is the mooring then.
I think the best mooring is inside of that tree.
Okay. So here we are, all tucked up in this little hollow, nestled into the bank. It's such a relief to be here, and in such a gorgeous place. Ever since we came down the Northampton Arm, it's felt like we're in a different land almost. It's like a place out of time down here. The east gets missed, I think, by people. Certainly, I don't know many people have been over to the east, but it's gorgeous, unexpectedly gorgeous. So we're going to stop here for a day, just gather ourselves, go in for a swim, and the next part of the journey is to get down and through Peterborough and onto Wisbech. Weather's looking good for next week, so we should be able to make it across the wash after all that. So I'll say bye for now. Have a good week, everyone. See you on the next video. Out to sea, hopefully. Okay, bye for now.
Oh yeah, we know this chap.
He's not the water waster.
He's quite nice, quite friendly.
He's nice, isn't he? Seems the village in a bit. It's always exciting getting somewhere new, isn't it? 10 minutes.
Yeah. We dropped a windlass.
We got the windlass.
No, I'm only kidding.
Do you go in?
No, he hates water.
Have you never heard a way to find the
Cooler than it
sun?
has been.
Is it?
Yeah, a lot.
Tell